It is Friday, March the 22nd, 2024. My name is Jay Cleveland Payne, and this is Things You Might Not Have Heard. These coming up are 8 stories queued up for you that cover news stories in various genres, including information, politics, current events, and pop culture news. Conventional stories vetted by you, and some unconventional stories as well, but we're conversational because you said so. We'll go into the vetting process, how you got these stories in here for today, and do some hype for the weekend stuff, and some other great things as well, including some fun stuff. And we pay off our $2 a holler Tuesday, and we do some mea culpaing in the process. All that coming up in mere moments. Remind you, our Conversation Project website is this. It's conversationproject.com. Check it out for all the details you need to get on us every single weekday and every day, because we do stuff all day long, all night long, all the time. And of course, we want you to check out our email address. Email us at the conversation inbox at gmail.com to let me know what I can do to be in more of improvement, or sometimes just do things that aren't quite as bad. Because sometimes it's not so much about what you're doing good, it's about not doing something worse. It's like that a lot around here, if you will. So let's get into the news headline for this morning for Friday, March 22nd, 2024. These are headlines that aren't in any particular order, but we'll give you some context to how they got laid out in this order throughout the layout of the shows, if that makes any sense. Not grammatically correct, but it is what it is. Headline number one, kicking straight off with getting Mr. Trump out of the way. Trump campaign asked 1 million Patriots, that's in quotes, for their money to rescue Trump Tower. And I just repeated that in there twice because I was bad at editing this tonight. So it's basically said the same thing twice if you're watching the video. What is this all about? We got a story off of Newsweek where Trump campaign is issuing a call for financial assistance to help Donald Trump. Now, we know right now, as it is, Letitia James, the Attorney General in New York, is trying to seize Trump Tower, try to seize a golf course, seize a big mansion, because Trump can't pay the $500 million bond that he needs to go to repeal. Now, unlike what has been reported, he can appeal all he wants to. They're just going to start taking his stuff anyway because he hadn't paid his bond. He can still appeal, and then he may get it back if he wins the appeal. But they can take his stuff back because he doesn't put any bond back up because he's already proving he can't pay bills. But apparently, the Stop the Witch Hunt Fund is going out there to get people to pony up more money. Now, that question's been asked many times, including by myself all this week. Why aren't there any billionaires ponying up money? Don Lemon asked Elon Musk, are you going to give Donald Trump some money? Everybody's saying no, and that may tell you something about Mr. Trump and his campaigns and the situation and kind of who he is. The campaign to save Trump Tower and other assets for Donald Trump because he owes a whole lot of money for this bond, not going so well as it's going at the moment. Let's go to headline number 2 this morning. This is a very sad one. We want to make sure this was taken care of early so we can go to things that didn't get too light and made light of the whole morning, if you will. Angela Chow's blood alcohol content nearly 3 times the legal limit before her fatal drive into Pond. Angela Chao is, of course, the sister of Elaine Chao, who's, of course, the former member of many cabinets of the United States presidents, and, of course, married to Mitch McConnell, who is the, Speaker of the House Minority Majority Leader based on House. I'm messing up. The Senate Minority or Majority Leader based on who's kind of in charge. Right now, he's technically minority because it's 50-50 plus Kamala Harris. And so he's had all this power for many years, and he's stepping down because of family issues. One of the issues is this thing going on right here. Toxicology report shows that Angela Chao was 3 times over the limit for blood alcohol when she crashed her car into the pond. Now, what this led to was there was a party on this private estate, and they had the party in the place, the one house, and she was going to drive about a mile away from there to the main house. In the process, something she's done many times before, accidentally put her car in reverse. She did that. She went over a retaining wall into a pond, made a call to someone at the party saying, I'm in the pond, I can't get out. And then people came out and saw her, and they could not get her out. The whole thing gets even more sad, even more tragic, even more just heartbreaking as you hear the story go through. We are definitely sending out thoughts, prayers, much positive energy out to all involved, friends, family. Like I said earlier, we're not big fans of Mitch McConnell, but we don't want bad things to happen to Mitch or his family. So we are sending out lots of things going on there on this case. And we have some resolution, not great resolution. We just have to kind of live with the consequences of this story. Our third story this morning. Apollo Group offers $11 billion dollars to buy Paramount Film and TV Studios. Now, this story is already old because we posted a story in the queue for this morning. It's probably in by the time you see this video, where Paramount basically said no, they're not going to take this $11 billion dollars. But Apollo Group basically has offered up the money. They are a equity fund, private equity firm. They officially put up the proposal to buy out Paramount Pictures, the whole kit and caboodle. Why? Because private equity firms are only people that have money. They have money to buy these things up. They leverage it out for crazy, and then they sell the pieces off for more money. Basically meaning Paramount's going to be broken up into pieces and sold into very, very small, not so worthful pieces, but worth a lot to the equity group that sells them in pieces. That's what they're going to do. They don't see any real worth for them as a company making movies and making television, making products. So they're going to sell the pieces to get money from that. They've already said no, being Paramount, so we'll see what other equity group will come in with more money for them to say yes to. That's pretty much the only thing you can do at this point right now. Here's a local story that got really weird really fast. It took us a while to kind of get into it until I got more details from the local end of what was happening, and it's tragic what happened. Now, the headline reads, Arkansas airport executive shot during attempted search warrant, because that was what was on the national headlines, which on its front doesn't sound like much. But Brian Makowski, who was an executive at the Bill and Hillary Clinton National Airport in Little Rock, was passed away recently from the attack. I'll call it attack for all practical purposes, because he was shot while the warrant was being served at his home. It was by ATF, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms and Explosives, and it was related to him allegedly illegally selling firearms. So it looks like Mr. Malonsky was not doing great things with in his home, and that's why this warrant was being served to him. Had nothing to do with his job per se at the airport, but his extracurriculars going forward. He has, of course, passed away from this story, so it gets even more odder and tragic. But this is something that's been floating around for a few days until we got a chance to see the actual warrant that was being dropped on his house, essentially alleging he was selling weapons without a license. Let's go into one of the bigger stories of the day. Although, for some reason, I won't throw out the shadow man word. I didn't get much play on this for the YouTube shorts. TikTok got a bunch on this one. So TikTok asked a bunch of questions and got into this one. The headline reads, Apple will be sued by Biden administration in a landmark antitrust lawsuit. I put this out about half hour before they actually did the release. And when they did, it was really a bombshell. It was pretty big. Apple is going to be sued by the Justice Department in a handful of states where antitrust issues. Essentially, the iPhone is a monopoly and it stifles competition. Or particularly, the App Store for the iPhone is the real stifling to competition, because it does not allow rival apps that it doesn't like onto the platforms. Things that may actually be better performing than what Apple provides, or things that may be a direct competitor that they just don't want to deal with. It is something that you need to think about when you use your iPhones, how things are just awesome. And a lot of this, it just kind of comes from the green bubble. The green bubble is what you get if you have an iPhone and you get a text from someone an Android phone, because it shows it's not in the same network, it's not as secured, you don't get the same levels of functionality with stuff. You can't FaceTime, things like that. So it shows that the person using their phone to message you is on a network that is foreign, lack of another word to say, for the Apple devices. So you can laugh at them, I guess. However, that foreignness, that keeping things off their platform, is now becoming a problem here in the States for the Apple people. Let's go to the story at number 6. This is what I got my eye on today, because today should be the day for Reddit to make its IPO. Reddit's going to set for a highly anticipated IPO. As I've said earlier, this is a website I don't know how to function. I cannot operate Reddit. I just can't navigate it. But I've got my money in the game to hopefully get a slot in the IPO via the Robinhood app where I get my stocks from. They're not a sponsor today, but I just want to say that full disclosure. If the IPO happens today, the range was set for price for the stock to be around $31, $34. It actually ended up closer to about $36, $37, I believe, top of my head. And we'll see the thing comes out. I'm in the lottery, so maybe I get a chance to get a couple bars of IPO stock for Reddit, and maybe this one will actually go up and stay up for a while. We shall see on the Reddit stock. The story we have at number 7 for this morning, this headline reads, dozen sue saying Ozempic, other weight loss, and diabetes drugs cause harmful side effects. one more note. I'm doing a lot of caveating and personal effects on this stuff. I am a current taker of Ozempic. I love the drug. It does have side effects. They are rather annoying and sometimes disturbing. But I'm basically would fight my mother to stay on this drug at this point because it's doing great stuff for me at the moment, and the long term side effects, nothing has been seen that's going to make it worse on me. In fact, so many things are so much better for me now. I can work on those things making me better. However, many people on the weight loss drugs and diabetes managed drugs, why I'm taking it for diabetes, not weight loss particularly, are chipping in for some issues. There are some people who have had serious serious medical issues and have died from issues with Ozempic and Wegovy and things like that. The big issue comes from gastrointestinal things where sometimes for some people, it literally stops your stomach. That sounds gruesome. It sounds painful. I'm sure it is. But as I said right now, I am currently on Ozempic. So you can judge me for what you want to say because of my diabetes management, and it's the best thing for my diabetes management in the nearly 30 years that I've been dealing with it. It's been a godsend. So it's something that I am fighting for and doing what I can to keep the side effects at bay because I want to keep the medicine in my cabinet, if you will, or in my fridge. You got to keep it in the fridge. Let's go to the final story for this morning. Number 8 story for this morning with a headline that reads, Star Wars celebrates Phantom Menace 25th anniversary with marathon of 9 films in theaters. Do you have time to watch 9 movies in a row? Even if you don't, they're going to allow you to do that. The Phantom Menace coming out with the 25th anniversary of that movie. Of course, the original Star Wars legacy is over 50 years old. What do we get for the Phantom Menace? We get a big marathon of all 9 of the Star Wars saga, or the Skywalker saga, starting with the original Anakin Skywalker, wrapping up with the newest Skywalker. Although she's technically not a Skywalker, she's technically the goddaughter of the Emperor. But you get the gist of it. All 9 movies being released in theaters, coming soon for the anniversary, so that you, yes, you, can waste your time away, 1 in line and 2 in a theater, for days at a time watching the Star Wars flicks. They'll be on streaming, so it's much easier to watch it than streaming. Trust me. Just go with me on that one. For our errors, apologies and omissions section for today. Apparently, I am very bad at clicking buttons for pictures in the video. So if you're watching the video and wondering why the pictures are coming after the stories, because I'm just not paying attention apparently very well. We did some work yesterday. We were apologizing for the sound yesterday. We believe we have it fixed for the recording for this thing here. We checked it for the recordings for the hot takes to what we do with that recorder, and it was fine. But apparently the settings for the live stream machine were a little hot because the old interface was a little low. And so hopefully you have a much clearer sound because I have a better interface going forward, and a much less harsh sound because I don't have it overmodulated. Apologies for that. Now, 1 minute story for today is Melissa Joan Hart revealing why there's no Sabrina the Teenage Witch reunion for the original cast, starring her as Sabrina and the cast, including both her aunts and, of course, Soleil Moon Frye, who played Roxy, her roommate, when they transitioned her to go into college. And the reason is pretty simple. Rights, lawyers, IP. Because Netflix had their own version of Sabrina, which was a take off the Archie comics, which was a take off Archie's new dark take of things with Riverdale, so it fell in line with that universe. Doing the old lighthearted Melissa Joan Hart and Harvey version with Salem the cat walking around throwing quips back and forth doesn't work so well with the IP. It confuses stuff. And right now, the owners of the other IP have first right to do stuff. So it's not that Melissa Joan Hart would not like another check or do some fun stuff with Nick again. It's just the fact that they literally can't put something together because them lawyers. It's them lawyers that make issues in this one. Let's go to our teaser story. And this is what we're teasing for the weekend coming up Monday. Now, we teased yesterday talking about Trump looking to raise money to save himself from his bond. And that's what we talked about today because you deemed it worthy. You deemed it conversational. Will you deem this story conversational worthy enough to last the entire weekend? That's the question, because this story, our next iteration of Things You Might Not Have Heard, will be on Monday. So it has to, go through the weekend and be one of the top 30 stories of the weekend to be one of the top 10 stories for Monday. And that's a lot to look at, a lot to get lost in the shuffle. Will it happen? It's really simple. You just go to our feeds on Facebook and Twitter, facebook.com/this is a conversation, and Twitter or x.com/th underscore conversation. And you too can be a part of the conversation. You vet the stories. The whole conversational vetting process is you literally vetting the stories to be conversational. If you believe we should talk about Chris Christie, who is not saying no to a third party run, not saying no to being on known labels, isn't saying yes, not saying not saying he's made a deal, not saying he's talking to them very much, but not saying he wouldn't do it. You just vote this one up by your engagement scores. Just engage in the stories. Tell me that you like it. Tell me that you hate it. Tell me that you want to give it the little scrunchy face. Give it a thumbs up on Twitter because that's all you can do. Share it to multiple people at multiple times. The more engagement a story gets, higher score it gets. And as we say, we're going to give you 10 stories come Monday from the top 30 of the weekend. That's today, tomorrow, and Sunday. Tad bit of Monday as well. Now, today we gave you 8 stories because we give you 8 stories from the previous day, a tad bit of that early day. Top 15 of a 30-day stint. So for the weekend, top 10 from a 90 or so days of stint. And that's how we get our conversational story going forward. Will you make this in the cut, or will we talk about other stories? We'll find 10 stories. Trust me, we'll find 10 stories. 10 stories will be found. I have a cough button now. Not effective, but I have a cough button. And there's the cough. But we'll find 10 stories. What we will know is the stories you want us to talk about because it's you vote them up. So in the process of talking about stories, let's talk about sponsors, because it takes you working with us to make this thing happen, and it takes sponsors to keep the world going around and keep the bills paid. And sponsoring today is literally me. I did the work for this one, so I'm taking all the direct money for it. This is a book called Mastering Your Money. What's good about mastering your money? It's your money. You should master it. It's pretty straightforward and simple. Now, if you need a bit more push forward, these times we live in are kind of dire, kind of crazy. We have inflation. We have high prices of everything. We've got a uncertainty coming up with the election in a few months, or about 7 months or so. And what we have is the right time to make sure you've got your life in order, your affairs in order, and maybe your money. If you've been bad with money in your lifetime, or just had a large hard stint to something recently, my book, Master Your Money, can help you get things on track. Whether you want to get your money right for yourself, or you're trying to get your finances in order to do other things, such as help other people out with their finances, or start a business, do more things that need to be covered with making sure that you aren't so lack at home. Mastering Your Money can help you out with that one. It's a very simple book, very easy to follow book. I mean, I have money problems. I'm bad with money. And if I can make a book on money to help fix my money problems going forward, trust me, you can get something out of it as well. $10 as a hardcover or paperback, not hardcover yet, and $5 in Kindle version. You can find it on other platforms as well. Go to the link that we have in this program here, whether you're listening to the podcast or you are watching the video, or just search for Mastering Your Money, J. Cleveland Payne, wherever your books are found online. We're definitely on Amazon, other places as well. And get your money mastered. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Today. I just love doing that. All right. I also love talking about the Conversation Project itself, because this is why we do this. This is a very extensive thing we do, and it's getting more and more extensive. The more we do, the more we find things we should do, because the goal, the big mission of the Conversation Project right now is to bring conversational news topics to you around the world, have the conversations about them, and expand on those things. There are many ways we can do this in a better, bigger, bolder fashion. Does just take more help. So this is where we promote the Conversation Project and your ways to help us out going forward in the Conversation Project. I should have clicked that earlier if you're watching the video. Right now, there's a scroll going down with some of our newest supporters to the effort, giving us monthly subscriptions to get into this thing. We have the $2 holler coming up in just a moment, so stay tuned for that. But if you want to be a partner and help us out with this project, go to thisisaconversationproject.com, our website, click on the partnerships page, and find ways to connect with us to partner up with us going forward. You can also visit our sponsors page and just buy from a sponsor. We get an affiliate click from all those. The most important things you can do with us is follow us where we are going. Look for us for our hot takes because we need more people watching those videos. They give more social proof of what we're doing. Follow us on our feeds and email me at the conversation inbox at gmail.com for details from you on how to do things better. Most importantly, share what we're doing out there and get more people watching videos, listening to audios, reading the newsletters, and all the great things together. That's the best thing to do on that level. Now, the fun stuff. Fun stuff begins every single weekday morning with birthdays. This is no exception. Birthdays are the funnest, the fun stuff. And we kick things off with William Shatner, who is 93 years old today. A few years back, he became an actual rocket man when he went to a rocket in space with one of those billionaires and one of their midlife crisis spaceships into space. That's all good. Good for him. But I'm still doing the William Shatner thing, still doing tours, still talking to folks, showing at conventions. He was at a convention here in Little Rock a while back, and it was weird watching the pictures taken with him where he's like, has his back to people. I don't know. William Shatner was there. It just was there. You got to meet Captain Kirk. He's there. You got to meet T.J. Hooker. That's the big thing. He's 93. Did I say 83? 93 years old on this day. Also, Keegan-Michael Key, say his name in the right order. He is 53 years old on the day. And lovely Reese Witherspoon is 48 years old and, of course, running Hollywood the way she does these days. Let's go to our history lesson today. We are spotlighting 1990. On this day in 1990, President George H.W. Bush, Papa Bush, shocked the world with this announcement. Quote, I do not like broccoli, and I haven't liked it since I was a kid, and my mother made me eat it, and I'm the president of the United States, and I'm not going to eat any more broccoli. So, of course, today we're celebrating Broccoli Day. March 22nd is the We Love Broccoli Day. It falls during National Nutrition Month, Nutrition Education and Information Campaign by the American Diabetic Association. Makes sense because broccoli should get highlighted. Broccoli is like the only universal vegetable we can eat in our house. We can put broccoli in literally anything the kid will eat. In fact, if we put broccoli in anything, the kid will probably eat it going forward. The wife will eat broccoli. I like broccoli. We fight over asparagus. No one likes corn for some reason. Squash is sort of iffy. It's kind of how you feel about it in the moment. But broccoli always gets love. Cauliflower, not so much. But you mix it with broccoli, it will pass. Celebrate your broccoli day by having broccoli. Now, today's Friday, so it's usually pizza night. So we probably won't have broccoli on our pizza, but we'll find somebody to get broccoli tomorrow. Delayed celebration. That's what we'll do going there. We'll make that happen. And now, paying off the $2 Holler Tuesday. Now, every Tuesday, we offer up another chance to support the Conversation Project by offering $2 a holler via Cash App and Venmo. If you send me $2 on the quick apps, and you can get a shout out on Friday. It is Friday. Shout out today goes out to Sharon Green, and she wanted a shout out for Social Worker Month. This is Social Worker Month, so we want to spend the time right now to highlight and spotlight social workers out there doing their things. And many of them may be watching this because they're up early preparing for their day, watching we do it live, the live recording at 5:50 a.m. Central Time here in Little Rock, Arkansas. Now, the actual mea culpa caveat is Sharon G is my mother-in-law, and the social worker she's shouting out is her son's wife, my sister-in-law. So, yeah. By the way, you don't have to be a member of my family or live in my house to send me money. If you want to get on this deal, every Tuesday we announce a $2 Holler Tuesday, and it's essentially cash apping or Venmoing me money via my handle, which is J Cleveland Payne, letter J, Cleveland like the city, Payne, and give me $2, just $2, that's all it is, and your shout out. 2 weeks ago, it was Christine with a K, who of course is my wife, who just said, I want a shout out, so it works. This week's is my mother-in-law, who's shouting out my sister-in-law. Both of them watch, so hopefully they get the shout out and they love it, and I love them immensely. But other than just passing money around in the house, you too can help support the Conversation Project by giving me money that I may or may not deserve by checking out the $2 Holler Tuesday. Next Tuesday, just look for the call to response, call to action. Shoot me $2 via one of those quick apps at Cash App or Venmo. And you too, once we vet your message and find out that you don't live in my house, I guess my daughter's next, we'll give you a shout out come Friday to wrap things up on a fun note. And it is a fun note, a fun Friday. fun week this week. Spring break, so I was doing a little less work at the day job, doing a little more mucking around with things here. So hopefully you enjoyed some of the improvements going on, and hopefully the sound has gotten so much better. Number one, because I went to a better interface, and number two, all the distortion yesterday. Thank you so much for being a part of the show with us here, whether you're watching us live or you're going to see this in the recording whenever. It's Friday, March 22nd, 2024. We are glad to provide for you news that you can use and news that you basically give us. We use you to give us news to use sometimes. So it works out for all of us. How you like them apples? So stay limber, stay hydrated, stay on task. All the grand things you're here to do. And since I'm caught in a little coughing fit, I'm going to get out of here. Love you. Mean it. Weekly wrap up coming up with we did some swaps of that, so you get some real detail on what we did on the weekly wrap up. The top 10 stories, I already calculated those for the week. Of the top 10 stories, you only did 4 of them over the past 5 days, so it's an interesting ride on that one. Talk about that one. Also, one of those stories will be the story of the week. We'll see what story comes along with that one, and be prepared for come Monday, when we're back here doing things you might not have heard. So what stories will last the weekend to be a top story that you're going to engage in to talk about come Monday? We'll find out Monday when we come back to things you might not have heard. I'm Jay Cleveland Payne. Thanks for being here. We'll see you on the weekend recorded and come Monday live, 5:50 a.m. Central Time.